Hello and welcome. In this video, we are discussing about Java server pages client request. So we will discuss client request in JSP. So when a browser requests for a web page, it sends a lot of information to the web server, and this information cannot be read directly because this information travels as a part of header of HTTP request. You can check a HTTP protocol for more information. So the table lists out the important header information which comes from the browser, and this information is frequently used in web programming. Header and description. Accept. This header specifies the MIME types that the browser or other clients can handle. Values of image/PNG or image/JPEG are the two most common possibilities. Accept a char set. This header specifies the character sets that the browser can use to display the information. For example, ISO 88591. Accept a encoding. This header specifies the types of encodings that the browser knows how to handle, and values of gzip or compress are the two most common possibilities. Accept a language. This header specifies the client's preferred languages in case the servlet can produce results in more than one language, for example EN, RU, etc. Authorization. This header is used by clients to identify themselves when accessing password-protected web pages. Connection. This header indicates whether the client can handle persistent HTTP connections. Persistent connections permit the client or other browser to retrieve multiple files with a single request. Value of keep alive means that persistent connections should be used. Content length. This header is applicable only to post requests and gives the size of the post data in bytes. Cookie. This header returns cookies to servers that previously sent them to the browser. Host. This header specifies that the host and port as given in the original URL. If modified since. This header indicates that the client wants the page only if it has been changed after specified date, and the server sends a code 304, which means not modified header if no newer result is available. If unmodified since. This header is the reverse of if modified since, and it specifies that the operation should succeed only if the document is older than specified date. Referrer. This header indicates the URL of the referring web pages. For example, if you are at web page 1 and click on a link to web page 2, the URL of web page 1 is included in the referrer header when the browser requests web page 2. User agent. This header identifies the browser or other client making the request and can be used to return different content to different types of browsers. The HTTP servlet request object. So the request object is an instance of a javax.servlet.http.http servlet request object. And each time a client requests a page, the JSP engine creates a new object to represent that request. And the request object provides methods to get HTTP header information, including form data, cookies, HTTP methods, etc. The table lists out the important methods that can be used to read HTTP header in your JSP program, and these methods are available with HTTP servlet request object, which represents client request to web server. Method and description. Cookie get cookies. Returns an array containing all of the cookie objects the client sent with this request. Enumeration get attribute names. Returns an enumeration containing the names of the attributes available to this request. Enumeration get header names. Returns an enumeration of all the header names this request contains. Enumeration get parameter names. Returns an enumeration of string objects containing the names of the parameters contained in this request. HTTP session get session. Returns the current session associated with the request, or if the request does not have a session, creates one. HTTP session get session boolean create returns the current HTTP session associated with the request. If there is no current session and create true, returns a new session. Local get local returns the preferred local that the client will accept content in based on accepted language header. Object get attribute string name returns the value of the named attribute as an object or null if no attribute of the given name exists. Servlet input stream get input stream retrieves the body of the request as binary data using a servlet input stream. String get auth type returns the name of the authentication scheme used to protect the servlet. For example, basic or SSL or null if the JSP was not protected. String get character encoding returns the name of the character encoding used in the body of this request. String get content type returns the MIME type of the body of the request or null if the type is not known. String get context path returns the portion of the request URI that indicates the content of the request. String get header string name returns the value of the specified request header as a string. String get method returns the name of the HTTP protocol method with which the request was made, for example, get post or put. String get parameter name string name returns the value of a request parameter as a string or null if the parameter does not exist. String get path info returns any extra path information associated with the URL the client sent when it made this request. String get protocol returns the name and version of the protocol the request uses. String get query string returns the query string that is contained in the request URL after the path. String get remote address returns the internet protocol IP address of the client that sent the request. String get remote host returns the fully qualified name of the client that sent the request. String get remote user returns the login of the user making this request and if the user has been authenticated or null if the user has not been authenticated. String get request URI returns the part of this request URL from the protocol name up to the query string in the first line of the HTTP request. String get requested session ID returns the session ID specified by the client. String get servlet path returns the part of this request URL that calls the JSP. String get parameter values string name returns an array of string objects containing all of the values the given request parameter has or null if the parameter does not exist. Boolean is secure returns a boolean indicating whether this request was made using a secure channel such as HTTPS. Int get content length returns the length in bytes of the requested body and made available by the input stream or -1 if the length is not known. Int get int header string name returns the value of the specified request header as an int. Int get server port returns the port number on which the request was received. So this was a brief discussion on Java server pages. Thanks for watching this video. Bye for now.